I went to the cantor of my synagogue. A cantor in a synagogue is like a worship leader in a church. He lived in our apartment complex. His name was Cantor Silverstein. I said, Cantor Silverstein, who is this talking about? Who is the suffering servant? And he goes, oh, the suffering servant? The suffering servant is the nation of Israel. And I really had a lot of respect for Cantor Silverstein, but I remember one of my friends became a Christian. And one day he said to me, he said, Jeff, what do Jewish people do to have their sins forgiven? He asked me a question like, he said, do you believe in the Ten Commandments? And I said, sure, Doug, I believe in the Ten Commandments. He goes, how are you doing with them? I said, well, not so good. Nobody can keep them perfectly. So he said, agreed. But he said, what do Jewish people do to have their sins forgiven? And I said, well, there is a day once a year called Yom Kippur. It's the Day of Atonement. And during that day, a high priest, a Kohen of the tribe of Levi, but specifically of the sons of Aaron, would take a bull or a goat within the holy temple, and he would sacrifice it. The blood would be the atonement for the Jewish people on the day. But not only that, this animal had to be perfect. So when I was reading Isaiah 53, it all like came together that there would be a suffering servant who would die for the sin of the Jewish people. And see, this, it doesn't talk about a bull or a goat being a servant. This would be something new, something beyond what the Jewish people had experienced. And here's the incredible thing. Something new was happening because I realized, well, wait a minute, the temple doesn't exist anymore. We can't have these kind of sacrifices anymore. So what do the Jewish people do for forgiveness of their sins? And my friend Doug said, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. He said, this is what the Jewish Messiah was called, like the Passover Lamb of God. But this was a human being. So when I went and I got away from my cantor, I reread Isaiah 53 for myself with no Jewish influence, with no Christian influence. I wanted to read this in context. Well, if this servant was going to be a sin offering, it couldn't be the Jewish people, because how could a people who need an offering be the offering? So I realized this sin offering had to be perfect, and the only one who is perfect is God. And it hit me all at once. It could only be Yeshua. Yeshua was the only one who lived in a physical body, who could be that servant, who never committed a sin, who was perfect, and shed his blood for the Jewish people and all human beings.